sessions under food production. Under this topic, under food processing and packaging, we are going to look at the techniques and methods for processing food products. We're going to look at packaging considerations for product safety and quality. A food processing is any method used to turn fresh foods into food products. This can involve one or a combination of the following: washing, chopping, pasteurizing, freezing, fermenting, packaging, and many more. Food processing also includes adding components to food, for example, to extend shelf life, or adding vitamins and minerals to improve the nutritional quality of the food, that is fortification. Sorry. Sorry. About food processing, almost all food is processed in some way before it is eaten. Commercially, the main reasons to process food are to eliminate microorganisms which may cause disease and to extend shelf life. So any changes you make to food is food processing. When you change or you alter the food from its original or raw form into something else, maybe by adding micronutrients or by washing, trying to eliminate those microorganisms and all that, you're trying to process the food. Simple cooking or combining a food with other foodstuffs to create a recipe is also considered a form of food processing. Yeah, anything you do when you try to alter the state or the raw state of any food product, it's called what? Processing. Whatever the case is, the nutrient value of any food is often altered by processing. Yeah, even if you wash, there are those nutrients you lose, of course, will alter the form of that product already. And then effects of processing and storage of food. Some vitamins are more stable or less affected by processing than others. The water-soluble vitamins, that is B group and C, are more unstable than fat-soluble vitamins. During food processing and storage, there are some vitamins, of course, that are very stable. Not very stable, but they are like more resistant than the rest, like the ADEG, that is the fat soluble vitamin, that's vitamin A, D, E, and K. And then the rest, like vitamin C and the B groups, are very unstable. Even mere washing can lose them all. And then the most unstable vitamins include the folate, thiamine, and vitamin C. Most stable vitamins are the niacin, vitamin B3, vitamin K, vitamin D, the biotin, that's B7, and pantothenic acid, which is B5. Processing affects food nutrient content. A variety of things can happen during the growing, during harvesting, during storage, and preparing of food that can affect its nutritional content. Processes that expose food to high levels of heat, light, or oxygen cause the greatest nutrient loss. Fertilizers or fertilizers application. Most plant crops are produced with the aid of fertilized soils. High use of nitrogen fertilizers tend to reduce the vitamin C content in many fruit and vegetable groups. It does not seem to make any differences to the plant nutrient value, whether the fertilizer is organic or not. Yeah. A use of the fertilizers also try to alter the real state of the products or the plants, the fruits or whatever. That is, they try to reduce the vitamin C content in every plant that has been planted or in a fertilized soil. And then blanching. Blanching, before food is canned or frozen, it is usually heated very quickly with steam or water. The water-soluble vitamins, including vitamin C and B complex, are sensitive and easily destroyed by blanching. Yeah. Boiling, of course, heating of those of these vegetables or fruits or anything also causes loss of these nutrients, like of course the water-soluble vitamins. And then milling. Cereals such as wheat can be ground to remove the fibrous husk. The husks contain most of the plant's dietary fiber. That is the big group vitamins, the phytochemicals, and some minerals. This is why products such as wheat bread are less nutritious than whole meal varieties, even if they have been artificially fortified with some of the nutrients that were lost after milling. It is impossible to add back everything that is taken off, especially the phytochemicals. So the fiber that is added back to some products is often in the form of resistant starch, which may not be as beneficial as the fiber removed. Yeah, and milling, removing the husks and all that. This portion that we have, we lose a lot of nutrients. We lose the the B vitamins, the big group vitamins. We lose the phytochemicals. We lose even the dietary fiber, even if they fortify, but we have lost the real ones. And then canning. Food is heated inside the can to kill any dangerous microorganisms and extend the food's shelf life. Some types of microorganisms require severe heat treatment, and this may affect the taste and texture of the food, making it less appealing. Preservatives are generally not needed or used in canned foods. Water-soluble vitamins are particularly sensitive to high temperatures. Many people believe that canned foods are not as nutritious as their fresh counterparts, but this is not always the case, as fresh food often deteriorates more rapidly than canned food. Yeah, canning, of course, when this canned food are usually heat, that heating, of course, any high temperature destabilizes and causes high loss of the water soluble vitamins. Yeah. And then freezing, the nutrient value of a food is retained when it is frozen. Any nutrient losses are due to the processing prior to freezing and the cooking once the frozen food is thawed. Yeah. Uh, Freezing, of course, retains all the nutrients, actually, retains most of the nutrients, except the nutrients are lost maybe when you wash these products before you freeze them, or after you've removed the products out of the out of the frozen state. And then pasteurization. Pasteurization involves heating liquid foods such as milk and fruit juices to specific temperatures to destroy microorganisms. The nutrient value of milk is generally unaffected. In the case of pasteurized fruits, some losses of vitamin C can occur. In milk, it causes little damage. However, in the cases of fruit juices, some vitamin C is lost. And then high pressure processing. This alternative preservation method subjects a food to elevated pressures with or without the use of heat to kill microorganisms. This method has been used in foods such as fruit juices. As heat is not required, this process impacts less on the vitamin content, flavor, and color of food. They are the high pressure processing. Here you use high pressures like to change maybe the state of the products and all that. But since there is no heat involved, meaning you lose less, or you might even not lose the water soluble nutrients, vitamins, sorry. And then preparation of vegetables. Most vegetables are peeled or trimmed before cooking to remove the tough skin or outer leaves. But most nutrients, such as the vitamins, tend to lie close to the skin surface. So excessive trimming can mean a huge reduction in our vegetables nutrient value. Yeah, as you prepare these vegetables, the best thing is always at least to wash them and prepare them in that form. Even the potatoes, if you wash instead of peeling off, because the nutrients are so close to the skin. And then dehydrating, drying out of foods such as fruits can reduce the amount of vitamin C they retain. It can also concentrate other nutrients, particularly fiber in plant foods. Dehydrating foods also makes food products more energy dense, which may contribute to weight gain. If a dehydrated food is reconstituted and cooked with water, further nutrients are leached out of the food and lost in the cooking water. Dehydrating, removing that water from those food stuffs. I tend to lose, of course, you tend to lose some of the vitamin C. Remember, it's water soluble. As you drain the water off, you drain some vitamin C off. But of course, now you're going to, as it becomes less in water, it will be concentrated in energy and what? And fiber. And then losing nutrients through cooking. Some vitamins dissolve in water, so you lose your vitamins to the cooking water if you prefer to boil your vegetables. For example, boiling a potato can cause much of the potato's B and C vitamins to migrate into the boiling water. It is possible to benefit from these nutrients if you consume the liquid, for example, by turning the potato and the liquid into a soup. Alternative cooking methods such as grilling, roasting, steaming, or stir frying or microwaving generally preserve a greater amount of vitamins and other nutrients. Benefits of cooking. We know very well it has the advantages and disadvantages. So below the benefits of cooking, it makes the food tastier. Yeah, you know very well a potato tastes more nicer when it's cooked than in the raw form. Breaking down parts of vegetables that could otherwise be indigestible. Destroying bacteria or other harmful microorganisms. Making phytochemicals more available. For instance, phytochemicals are more available in cooked potatoes than in cooked tomatoes than in raw materials. Yeah, they make some of the phytochemicals more available. And then preserving the nutrient value of vegetables. Some suggestions to retain the maximum nutrition in the foods you cook include: one is you need to store your foods properly. If you need to retain or maintain the nutrients in the vegetables, you need to store them properly, such as keeping cold foods cold and sealing some foods in airtight containers. And then keep vegetables in the crispier section of the refrigerator, like that down part of the refrigerator. It manages to keep these things in a moist form instead of keeping them in the upper part where they will be frozen and all that. And then try washing or scrubbing vegetables rather than peeling them. Yeah. And then use the outer leaves of vegetables like cabbage or lettuce, unless they are wilted or unpalatable. Yeah, make sure you use the outer leaves of the vegetables, like the ones of cabbage and the lettuce. And then make sure you microwave, you steam, roast, or grill vegetables rather than boiling them. And then if you boil your vegetables, save the nutrient-laden water for soup stock. In case you boil them, make sure you use that soup, don't pour it off. And then use fresh ingredients whenever possible. Yeah, because we know the fresh ingredients are loaded, they're not exposed to the heat and all that, or air and all that. And then cook foods quickly. Make sure you cook them quickly. Don't take 20 minutes cooking vegetables. That's a lot. You lose most of the nutrients. And then ultra processed foods. Ultra-processed foods and beverages are products formulated from industrial processes and all contain in these industrially derived ingredients. The processing techniques used in ultra-processed foods differ from the more basic and traditional methods described above. The industrial techniques include, okay, these are all still ways of processing. We said cooking, blanching, what, all those are. Now this is under now industrial. The other ones are more of the traditional ways, the things we do daily and all that, like this. Yeah. But now this one, we're going to look at the process or industrially processed alterations caused to our food products. We're going to look at fractionation processes and processes of separation of mixtures or liquids. Mixtures of liquids, gases, or solids into their components. Fractional separation is based on differences in a specific property of the individual component. And fractionation processes are physical processes where phase transition is involved. Here you separate mixtures, you separate liquids, gases, or solids into their respective components. And then hydrogenation. Hydrogenation is a process where manufacturers add hydrogen to a liquid fat, such as vegetable oil, to turn it into a solid fat at room temperature. Example is the Blue Band. Example of this hydrogenated product is Blue Band. And then hydrolysis. Hydrolysis is a common form of a chemical reaction where water is mostly used to break down the chemical bonds that exist between a particular substance. And extrusion cooking is the process of forcing a material to flow under a variety of conditions through a shape, tall, or die at a predetermined rate to achieve various resulting products. There are three major types of extruders used in the food industry. We have the piston extruders, we have the roller type extruders, and screw extruders. Under processing, still under this ultra processing, we have molding. The function of molding is to shape the dough paste according to the bread variety being produced so that it properly fits into pans. Dough molding equipment can be set to achieve the desired shape with a minimum amount of stress and strain on the dough. Yeah. Molding, we know molding, trying to change the shape of something. And then pre-frying. The pre-frying process reduces moisture and carbohydrates and increases fat, ash, and protein content in both pre-fried products. Ultra-processed foods are typically highly convenient and palatable and tend to be high in added sugars, salts, oils, and fats. They also contain ingredients and additives that can't usually be found in a home pantry, such as artificial colors, flavors, emulsifiers, and inverted sugars. And then some common examples of the ultra-processed foods include the carbonated soft drinks and energy drinks, the confectionaries, the biscuits and pastries, the sweetened breakfast cereals, the prepared meat, the cheese, the pasta and pizza dishes, sausage, burgers, hot dogs, and other reconstituted meat products, powdered and packaged instant soup, noodles, and desserts. These are some of the examples of the ultra processed foods. Ultra processed food and health. Consumption of ultra processed foods can lead to increased energy intake, resulting in weight gain. A high proportion of ultra processed foods in the diet is also linked to obesity. Consumption of this ultra processed food, they result to obesity, they result to cardiovascular metabolic diseases, they can result to cancers, they can result to gastrointestinal disorders, they can result in depression. As we said earlier on, these foods are high in salts, they're high in fats, they're high in salts, fats, and sugars. We know very well the high consumption of this can lead to all this about all the listed conditions. And then the mechanisms explaining the association between consumption of ultra-processed foods and chronic disease are still unclear. However, it is likely explained in part by increased intake of sugars, yes, as I mentioned, salts, fats, and oils, and increased energy intake due to their hyperpalatable nature and the displacement of meals prepared from nutritious, unprocessed, and minimally processed foods. The next is packaging. We're done with food processing. Now we're going to look at packaging. Packaging acts as a barrier to protect food and is a very important factor in the shelf life, quality preservation, and marketing scheme of many products. Yeah, it acts as a barrier for what? To protect the food. And it's important factor in the shelf life, like as it protects, it also extends the shelf life and also the quality preservation, because you know very well when we leave the products exposed, a lot of factors come in, oxygen, the light, and heat, and all that. And then market scheme of many products. Yeah, we know very well, and also well packaged materials or tend to attract more customers. And then packaging and labeling help to communicate the nutritious quality, the name of the manufacturer, and the health benefits, and act as a dispersing and dispensing unit. Packaging should not be overlooked during the product development process. The function of packaging is to contain, to protect, to preserve, to distribute, identify, and provide convenience for consumers. Packaging is a relatively low cost way of protecting products from damage that can be incurred during shipping. And then packaging also sends a message about what sort of product is within its wall. Yeah, like you list out the nutrients and all that. Before somebody even consumes, they know what the products contain. If a product created by a company is meant to be sold at a premium, but the packaging doesn't appear premium, consumers that have never purchased the product may pass it for something more visually appealing. Yeah. So packaging is very important. It communicates a lot about your product. And then during the development phase, potential packaging designs can be evaluated by consumers to test the strength of packaging and concept agreement. Levels of packaging. When you buy prepackaged cookies at the grocery store, the cookie food is usually packaged inside a plastic tray or bag within a box or outside or outer wrapper. And then the plastic tray or bag is referred to as the primary packaging. They're trying to give an example of the different levels of packaging using a cookie. When you buy a cookie in the store, it is usually in a tray or a plastic tray inside it, inside a box. This plastic tray is what is referred to as the primary packaging, the first packaging. And then while the outer box or wrapper is referred as the secondary packaging. Yeah. After the plastic tray inside, I usually have the outside packaging or wrapper. That is what we refer to as the secondary. And then this the secondary. And then when the products are delivered to a store, they are usually packed in a bigger box. Like you see, the cakes, they have an inside shell and then the outside covering, which is the secondary. And then they are put inside a bigger box, like maybe you could find 10 to 20 inside a bigger box. That is the one, the tertiary packaging. They corrugated boxes are usually packed full to protect the product and to allow ease of handling. And at the store, yeah, those boxes are usually packed full for easy handling. And then at plants, these tertiary distribution packages may be packed on a pallet. At plants or at the industries, you see these big boxes of these cakes can be packed on pallets, like let's say some woods or metals down where you pack these boxes on. And these pallets, they're what we call the quaternary packages or the unit load packages. And the figure below demonstrates it. While you have the cookie, which is put in the tray, which is the primary packaging, and then in the secondary packaging, you can see it is the secondary packaging, which is here. You see it is inside are placed within this package, or let's say a cavera. Yeah. And then the tertiary, you can see it's placed inside the box. However, it won't be placed alone. They will place like 20 of them inside this big box. And then in the quaternary packaging, you see where it is placed on the pallets, those down metallic things. These boxes will be placed on the pallets. That is tertiary packaging. Sorry, that is the quaternary packaging. And then steps to determining packaging. That there are steps you follow as you determine packaging. One is you define your food properties. You should know the properties of the food you're making. In order to determine what packaging should be used, first consider the type of product that you are producing. Are you making snack crackers? Are you making cereals, beef jerkies, candies, or eggs? It is important to establish what sort of product it will be and what the regulations are for this particular product. Is the product a solid, liquid, or gas? Is the liquid with thin and have good flow properties or thick? Is it a powder? How big is it? The type of packaging will most likely differ for products with changing flow properties and physical form. If the product is meant to be distributed frozen, how will the packaging be different? Is the product shelf life short? Yeah, you consider all these things like before you what? You choose a type of packaging for your product. One is we say the first step is you define your food properties, sorry. And then the second is to define your packaging, technical and functional requirements prior to choosing package. It is important to consider all product attributes or characteristics and the traits that you would like to package to have. Another important consideration is the radius of distribution. A product susceptible to breakage by vibration or drop will incur significantly less damage when distributed in a 100-mile radius, then it will nationwide. It will with nationwide distribution. The way that individual packages are packed and palletized, palletized can eliminate some damages. And the second step is you need to define your package technical and the functional requirements prior to choosing your packaging. And then third is you need to define package marketing and design requirements. Packaging is a form of marketing to consumers. More sophisticated designs may take special packaging materials. Therefore, packaging engineers should be involved in discussing design, shape, and any special functions that are required for the product. And another important consideration that is important is the shelf display requirements for grocers. Will the package be displaced by a hanger or some candies as some candies are displaced? Will the product's package contain any features? Features include any open bags or resealable packaging. It may also be important to consider the ease of recycling of some products as consumers are becoming more environmentally conscious. So packaging is a marketing tool, and we need to define your package marketing and your design requirements. And then number 4 is you need to identify legal and regulatory requirements. Legal restrictions can include regulation for the use of certain packaging materials or infringing on patented technologies. All packaging, just like food additives, other considerations are religious restrictions. Food additives that come into contact with food as part of packaging are considered as indirect food additives. You need to identify the legal and regulatory requirements before you choose the type of packaging. Like there are some places where covers are banned and all that. You need to consider all those bad things, all those rules before you choose the type of packaging. And then 5, you need to select potential package design and materials. Potential designs should meet all marketing design, safety, and functional requirements. Estimated costs will be considered in this step. Mock-ups can be made at this point and consumers' preference be measured. Yeah, you select the potential package design and materials. Parameters that affect packaging materials used. There are different parameters. One is the boiling water, you need sterilized boiling water, and then the hot filled or pasteurized above 150 degrees Fahrenheit. You need to consider hot filled or pasteurized below 150 degrees Fahrenheit. You need to look at room temperature filled and stored. You need to look at products that shall be refrigerated. You need to look at products that shall be frozen. All these products need specific types of packaging materials. So you need to consider all this as you choose your packaging material. And then you need to consider also frozen or refrigerated storage. You need to consider the ready prepared foods intended to be reheated in container at time of use. And then you need to consider aqueous or that is oil in water emulsion of high fat or low fat. And you need to consider aqueous, which is the same as high or low free oil or fat. You need to consider irradiation material. Are these products going to be passed through the radiation processes before consumption? You need to consider cooking at temperatures exceeding 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, all these products require respective or different packaging materials. And then step 6, you need to establish feasibility of packaging with equipment and materials. The packaging engineer should obtain some packaging materials to determine whether the packaging material will function on the equipment in place. In this test, it is beneficial to subject the food to the packaging material to determine how the packaging will change the food or if it will provide for the minimum shelf life. Yeah, you need to also check if this packaging material can actually maintain the state of the food up to like the shelf life. Let's say if a product is given to expire in December and you've chosen a type of packaging material, you need to consider whether this packaging material will be able to keep this product healthy or nutritious until that date of expiry. And then estimate time and cost constraints. Will the cost of this packaging be recouped by product purchase? You need to consider the cost constraints with the packaging material you're going to use. Will you be able to regain your money back after you've sold the products? Can the cost be cut down? Important factors in this phase are to determine when the packaging materials will be needed and when they can be provided. Cost is an important factor in organizations' decision. And then you look at shelf life testing and market testing. In products with extended shelf life, it will be very important to determine the weaknesses of the packaging. And if it will hold up for the product's entire life, consumers' input may be important to establish their preferences prior to moving forward with a certain design. The shelf life and safety of the product should be determined prior to consumer exposure. When the product design is well accepted by consumers and meets company specifications, the packaging and products can into full production. Now you need to consider the shelf life and of course market testing. And then packaging materials. What are the steps you need to consider when you're choosing a packaging material? And then next is packaging materials. The different materials we use for packaging in the market. One is paper and paperboard. Paper and paperboard are widely used for packaging. Paper and paperboard products include the corrugated boxes and shipping boxes that we see daily. I'll include flour and sugar and sometimes packaged in just a paper wrapping. Benefits of using paper are that it has a low cost and it has a lightweight. And then ready-to-eat cereals, many snack products, cake mixes, and foods are packaged in paperboard boxes. Because paper does not have very many protective qualities, many foods are packed in a sealed plastic bag inside a paper box. Because they do not maintain, of course, a lot of the qualities like the moisture, regulating air, and all that. Most foods that are put in this paper box are sealed in a plastic bag before they are packed in this paper box. And then disadvantages of using this paper include that it lacks the resistance of pest and is poor at blocking moisture and dust. Yes, it's poor at blocking moisture and dust, and then it lacks the resistance of pests. It can be easily destroyed by pests. And then paper expands and contracts with its environment and is easily distorted. It can easily be distorted. We know that very well. Uncoated paperboard can absorb grease and moisture and therefore should not be used for products with these attributes. And then the next material is metal. Metal is commonly used in canned foods, drinks, and in metallized films for lining plastics. The four types of metals used in the food industry are steel, aluminum, tin, and chromium. When using tin and steel, a layer of oil is usually added to reduce the risk of corrosion. Steel is generally cheaper than tin. The most common types of metal food packaging include 3-piece cans, 2-piece cans, and foil pouches. 3-piece cans are formed out of a tin plate or steel cylinder with a side seam and 2 end pieces. The end pieces are carved and welded together to create a uniform container. Usually, the body of the can has ridges to help increase the strength and reduce collapsing with any shock. 2-piece cans are made from aluminum or steel with 1 end piece. These cans are most familiar as can used for carbonated beverages. And then the advantage of aluminum is that it can be rolled very thin. Mostly these metals are used in these canned beverages. And then aseptic boxes, still a continuation of these metals. Aseptic boxes that is used for juice boxes and pouches. They're used for a variety of applications. Use metallic foils on the inside to protect the products. Like this boxes juice, that inside shining lining. They're made up of these metallic foils. The metallic foils provide a moisture, gas, and light barrier. They prevent moisture, gas, and light from getting inside our products. And then the metallized films are used in the packaging of snack products such as granola bars, chips, and coffee. These have the option to be vacuum sealed as commonly seen in poultry applications. Metal is stable under thermal heating conditions, as well as having great barrier properties to light, gas, and moisture. Metal is also recyclable and has high consumer acceptance. Generally, the insides of metal cans are coated to prevent corrosion. This is sometimes done with bisphenol A. Products that most commonly utilize metal packaging are the soups, canned fruits, and vegetables. Vegetables and canned meat. Yeah, next is glass. Glass is a good packaging medium, but it is non-reactive, meaning it does not leach chemicals like other materials do. Glass is also beneficial because it allows the customer to see the products. Colored glass can be used for products that are light sensitive. Soda lime glass is the most commonly used glass for food packaging. However, the disadvantage of using glass is it has high risk of breakage and the fact that it is very heavy. So it contributes to higher distribution costs because they're easily breakable. And then the next is plastics. Plastics are very attractive packaging materials due to their combination of properties. Plastics do not weigh very much, making them more attractive for distribution costs. Plastics also do not break easily like glass. These plastic packages can be made with convenient attributes for consumers such as resealability and flexibility. Flexible packaging is important for squeeze bottles such as the ones for ketchup and mustard used for packaging. Some plastics are opaque, which can help reduce the deterioration in some foods caused by light. And then the food industry has come to depend on plastics to package many products on the shelf. Product developers looking to pack a food in plastic should be familiar with the properties of the materials and the technical terms used to qualify these products. Examples of plastics used for packaging are we have polyethylene. This polyethylene is the most used plastic for packaging. Densities range from 0.86 to 0.96. Polyethylene is most commonly used due to its lightweight, it is inexpensive, its impact resistance, and relatively easily fabricated. It also has excellent water vapor and liquid containment properties, but it is not a good gas barrier and is not transparent. The next example of plastic packaging is polypropylene. Polypropylene is better as a barrier against water vapor than PET, as well as being more transparent and having more stiffness. This plastic is more difficult to fabricate than PET. Polypropylene is most commonly used for making pouches and candy wrappers. It is heat resistant up to 133 degrees Celsius and can be used in a microwave oven. And then other types of packaging, we have the aseptic processing. Aseptic packaging has become a popular way to package soups, juices, and other liquid products. Aseptic processing produces a sterile product that is then filled into a sterile container in an enclosed and controlled environment. The processing temperatures for aseptic processing are usually very high at ultra high temperature processes or high temperature short time. Packaging materials and the product are sterilized separately. Aseptic processing reduces the effect of heat on the sensory properties of the product because of the short time it is exposed to elevated temperatures. And then packaging is sterilized through heat, chemical treatment, or irradiation. Aseptic containers can be found in molded PET, plastics, or boxes made from paper or paperboard, pattern, and metallized foil. Next is the modified and controlled atmospheric packaging. Modified atmospheric packaging and controlled atmospheric packaging change the atmosphere, in which the food is exposed to during its shelf life. In the modified atmosphere packaging, the atmosphere is modified only at the time of packaging. In products with MAP, the gases inside the package are flushed out, and replaced with a mixture of carbon dioxide, oxygen, and nitrogen. And then vacuum packaging is used to reduce the amount of air in a packaging, also extending the sensory properties and shelf life of products like coffee. And then for the products that are in controlled atmospheric packaging, a cap is mostly used for fresh produce. The storage atmosphere is controlled through transport by automatic releaser of certain compounds to keep them atmosphere at the controlled concentrations. The optimum concentrations of gases depends on the product being produced. And then there is active packaging. Active packaging uses inserts in packages to help control the environmental composition inside the packaging materials. Inserts include the oxygen scavengers, the ethanol scavengers, moisture regulators, and antimicrobial agents. Oxygen scavengers, they absorb oxygen in packages to prevent product deterioration due to oxidation of lipids. And then ethanol, a chemical that accelerates the ripening of fruits, can also be absorbed through the ethanol scavengers. And then ethanol scavengers are usually made from potassium permanganate, which creates acetate and ethanol through the oxidation of ethanol. Moisture regulators are used to reduce moisture in dry packages or packages of fresh products to reduce spoilage. Antimicrobial agents used in packaging materials that are released from the packaging over time. Antimicrobial used in this type of packaging applications include the sorbates, we have the benzoates, we have the ethanol, and bacteriocins. Yeah, and other active packaging, as they have explained here, you put the oxygen scavengers that absorbs oxygen. You put the ethanol scavengers because ethanol accelerates ripening in some products just to try to control and extend the shelf life of the products. And then issues and concerns regarding this packaging and the whole food processing. When launching a new food product, food scientists should be aware of all consumer trends. You should know the consumer trends, what is trending, and the consumer concerns with respect to packaging. You need to know what the consumers think about the different types of packaging. This may include the size of packaging and how big should the product be in a package, and then the portability, how easy it is to move around with these products, and then the ease of opening products as well. You need to consider all this. You need to consider the color of the packages you're going to use, the environmental issues, and people are really are environmentally sensitive, like they really consider the environment they live in a lot. So you need to consider all this and to choose the type of packaging. And then migration of chemicals over time or due to microwaving and recyclability. Yeah, we know very well these packages have chemicals and all that. We need to also to consider how easily these chemicals can move. Maybe when the packages are left under harsh situations and all that. Thank you. That's all about food processing and packaging. Any questions so far? Hello. Hey, is there anyone with me? Hello. If there are no questions, then that's the end of our session. We can look to the next session. Hopefully, we shall be able to finish it in the next 40 minutes. Thank you. Hello, Samuel. Hello, Samuel. Hello, Samuel. Yeah, are you there with me? I'm done with the first session. Yeah, I want to start the second one, but I've seen the students have left. I don't know.